Hello, hello, hello. Let me see if I can turn this up a bit. Alrighty, thanks for joining me this morning. The discussion is I am. So, pretty deep one this morning. However, uh, probably the first question is, Maurice, what is I am and why do I need to know this stuff? Uh, and how will it help me? Well, basically, it's going to help you reduce your suffering. It's going to help you become aware of what it is that you are, that you can use a point of reference to come back to, and you can use that point of reference to then see life, to then come to an understanding of what is happening in your life and your experiences, basically. So, what the I am is really comes down to, in essence, trying to get a handle on what you identify yourself as. And if sometimes if you identify yourself as something that you're not, you can then create a lot of suffering for yourself. That's sort of what the idea is. So, the work that we have done, and the first session that you would have ever had with me, I would have said to you, you are not your mind is a part of you. And just as your hands are a part of you, your feet are a part of you, all of the other organs are a part of you, your mind is also a part of you. Now, that's all well and good. But then what am I if I'm not my mind? If my mind's a part of me, then what is that part? So we know that the brain, the mind, that's housed up here, hands, different organs that we've got, they're different parts of us. And we can sort of look at ourselves from the perspective of body parts make up the whole human being. And we can also look at the perspective of, well, you know, I'm not my hands, but my hands are a part of me. But I can still get a bit caught up in that I am the body, I am the mind. And that might serve you for quite a good while, but it's not going to serve you really well when you die. So, yeah, oh, okay, well, what am I then? Uh, I'm nothing because the body will ultimately deteriorate. As long as I'm breathing, I'm okay, but while I'm not breathing, then I'm cactus, really. And then, do I really need to worry about that stuff? Probably not, anyway. However, while I'm attached to the concept that I am my body that has a mind, then I then attached to the identity of something that really isn't permanent. Okay, so here's this conversation around permanence and impermanence. So the Buddhists will say, the impermanent nature of reality. So within the body-mind, it's impermanent. It's not actually permanent. Through the conversations that we've had, every second, 300 million of your cells are expiring, 300 million are being created. So you're constantly in a state of impermanence. There is nothing about you that is the same as it was a second ago. But yet I continue to exist. What's going on with that? So, if I can come to an understanding of my impermanence within every second, when I attach myself to something that's impermanent, like the body-mind, then that can really do my head in, because you could then sit and you go, hang on, well, who am I? If I'm not my body, because it's constantly changing, then am I my thoughts? Maybe they don't change. Am I my emotions? Because they don't change, do they? Well, yes, they do. So, there's not one thought that you have that's consistent throughout your life. You go, that's me. That's what I am. I'm this thought. There's not one emotion that constantly carries on through your life and go, that's me. That's who I am. That's what I can identify with. Notice how there's nothing permanent if I attach myself to the mind body. So then if I'm not the mind body and there's this impermanence, there's nothing permanent within me, then why do I get caught up in stuff? Why do I get caught up in the script and my stories from, the past? Why do I get caught up in the script and my stories to the future? Maybe the mind is trying to create a sense of permanency out of something that isn't permanent. And this is where the ego likes to then create identities. Because ultimately, I need something to hold on to say, this is who I am. I'm looking for something permanent. Or my mind is looking for something permanent so it can grasp onto something. So the mind then feels safe. Well, this is who I am. I am Maurice Harvey-Hall. I am the father. I am the son. I don't have any brothers or sisters, so I'm none of those. I am the teacher. I am the student. I'm the guy who rides a bike. I'm the guy who competes in triathlons when he gets his ass off the cushion and does that stuff. But I can also then relate to myself, well, I am guilty, I am anger, I am shameful, I am embarrassment. See how now I attach to emotions? And then I attach to thoughts. I am a bad person. I am a good person. So notice that all of those things are actually impermanent. They shift and they change. It's like, look out at the sky today. Have a look and see if there's any clouds. At the moment, it's pretty clear. Will the sky stay clear today? Possibly, possibly not. There'll be some clouds that cover it. It might get overcast. It might get some grey clouds in it. It might fully cover the sky. I just went down to Brisbane for the week, and obviously I flew down there and I flew back. So we're flying through the clouds. We're above the clouds. I can see the clouds. And wherever I'm going, there's a series of clouds. What I see from Townsville's perspective is different to what I see from Brisbane's perspective. So, depending on my location, depending on where I move throughout my day, particular clouds will then appear. And so that's the same as thoughts and emotions will appear. So in a sense, this I am, a nice simple way of looking at it is that the sky is the I am. That's the one thing that's permanent. The sky's always been there for us. Like we can look up to it and go, there's the sky. In actual fact, it's not the sky. It's a very thin band between the Earth's atmosphere and the atmosphere that exists beyond the Earth. But we see it from this perspective as a sky. So when we look at it from the sky's perspective, clouds drift across the sky and then they will go away. So the I am, in a sense, the awareness that you are, remember you are not your mind is a part of you. The clouds are a part of the sky. The clouds do not make up the sky. They're a part of it. But the one thing that is there that has been permanent for every day of your life and every day of my life is the sky. So we can look up, and the day that you were born, there was a sky with clouds. Each and every day that you awake, there's a sky with clouds. So, in a sense, the sky is what you are ultimately, and that's a thing called consciousness. And some of you would have heard me say, I am consciousness having a human experience. I am consciousness with a mind and a body. I am spirit. I am life, I am energy, I am consciousness. And this consciousness has an intelligence. And as I move through this transition of this life, this consciousness comes into this form and experiences what this thing is called, which is the human body that has a mind and has perceptions, it has cognitions, it has emotions, has thoughts. Now, I'm not making this up. This has been around for thousands of years through different religions, different thought philosophies, different faiths, different beliefs. And now we are finding it in quantum physics. So now we've got the science. Right? So we've actually got no excuse to look at this as woo-woo sort of stuff. To look at this as, oh, it's just those bloody hippies smoking pot back in the 1970s and this is a result of it. No, this stuff has been shared for many thousands of years. I was just looking and listening to the teachings of Vedanta, and Vedanta come from the Upanishads, which are thousands of years old. Vedanta and the Upanishads are the core elements of yoga. When we look at yoga, we sort of look at it from the perspective of doing exercises, the asanas, but the physical exercise of yoga is one of 8 branches of what yoga represents. It's only the physical component of it. It allows you to tap into the body-mind. It allows you to move into particular positions, and it's interesting that those positions actually have a sacred geometry to them. There's mathematics within the positions. So, all of this stuff is just, it's been around for thousands of years, so I'm certainly not making this up. What I am doing, though, is I'm putting my spin on it. And I'm putting my spin on it because I'm gathering all of these bits of information going, I'm consciousness having a human experience, and there's plenty of information out there, plenty of evidence to support what I'm saying. For some of you, this might be a bit too out there. For some of you, it might be way too much for your cognitive load. To go, man, Maurice, this is way too deep for me to even consider. Look, I don't actually have time to think about this stuff. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say, and as I said at the beginning of this, is that the way that this can help you is that when you start to realise or come to the realisation or even come to the belief with your mind that you could be something more than your thoughts and your emotions, that you could be something more than your body, you then start to see the connectedness within life, that you are connected to life, that you are actually life. You are a localised form of consciousness, and then there's an unlocalised form of consciousness. And that unlocalised form of consciousness is a thing called the universe. And we seem to think that the universe is very separate to us. I've got a very good friend, and he was just watching a documentary on the universe, and he found that there was scientists have found a black hole, and it just sucked up all of these planets, and he thought, holy crap! It sucked up all of these planets and everything, and it spat out things that are larger than our sun. It spat out stars. And he said, Maurice, this stuff's happening out there. He said, that really frightens me. He said, that's the reason why I don't look up there. I'll look at the sky and I'll look at the stars, but I won't look any further. My mind won't allow me to look any further, to think, hang on, what are we doing? We sort of just put the blinkers on. We go through life going, look, I need to get from point A to point B and have a good time in that time, and maybe create as much money as I can, and have some experiences, and maybe have kids, but create some good relationships, but hopefully get through that life with the less suffering and pain. And then one day I'll die, and I'm not too really sure what's happening after that, but I don't want to give it too much thought, because that's just too much. This conversation is about, hey, when you become aware of how all of this body thing, it's really transient, and that the mind tries to identify as something, So you don't then get caught up in how transient you are. Because what does the mind do? The mind identifies itself as a role, as a person, as a thing, as a human being that does particular things, and then it creates safety. Remember, safety and survival. So this is ultimately the greatest safety mechanism of the mind is to create an identity, but it creates an identity within something that actually is transient in nature. It's an identity to something that doesn't actually exist. You know, like if we go down to the river today and we look in the river at say 2 o'clock this afternoon, we go down to the river, we stand on the bank and we look at the water, and the water's flowing in most rivers. And as it's flowing, you know, we say, oh, there's the river. And then tomorrow I'll go down at 2 o'clock and I'll stand in exactly the same place and go, there's the river. It's the same river, but it's not the same river. What you saw today at 2 o'clock will be different to what you see tomorrow at 2 o'clock. But the mind likes to go, that's the same river. But ultimately we go, no, hang on, that's a different body of water that exists within this river. This is what you are. You are the river, but your cells are this body of water that flows through this moment, and then there's another body of cells that flow through this moment. So in essence, the one permanent thing is the river, but the water that flows through it is what you are. The mind does not like that. It will then go, you are the river. You are the parent, you are the son, the mother, the sister. So it's trying to create this identity, but the way that it creates its identity is to attach two things. And ultimately it will attach to thoughts, and it will attach to emotions and beliefs, and then it will attach to a thing called reality. And we go, this is the way that reality is. Maurice, you don't understand. My life can't change. This is the way that my life is. This is the way it always has been. And then I go, hey, hang on. Whatever you want it to be, you then start to create it in your mind. And then remember, the thoughts activate emotions. Emotions activate. So if I have a thought and an emotion, then there's a possibility that that thought is true because now I have an emotion. Then we create the expectation, the experience. We have a sense of knowing, then we believe something, and then something then becomes our truth. Remember that conversation. So you create your own truths each and every day through where you place your attention, which is driven by your intention. So today I'm going, hey, step back. Become aware that you are consciousness having a human experience, and this is the I am. So there's the big I am, and then there's the small I am. The small I am, in a sense, is the ego. It attaches two things. I am this role, I am this person, I am these thoughts, I am these emotions, I am these beliefs. I cannot be anything other. Whereas the big I am, the large I am, is the thing called consciousness. So another way of looking at it is that, so the I am is the one that notices. So you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, but the I am is the one that is aware of your thoughts. I am having the thought that I am not worthy. I am having the thought that I am guilty. I am having the thought that I am loving and compassionate. I am noticing the emotion of anger. I am noticing the emotion of love. I am noticing the emotion of compassion. I'm noticing the urge that I want to speak out. I'm noticing the urge that I want to shut down. So when you start to come from the observing self perspective, the I am, the one that is watching, the one that is observing this experience, then there is less chance that you will get caught up in the experience. Less chance that I will get caught up in the pain and the suffering that this life can offer through experience. But also less chance that I get caught up in the, oh, I'm in love with this person, or I need this person for me to feel this, or I need to have that for me to feel this. But it's not a detachment in a way, and a depersonalization that, well, I'm not that and I'm not that. I'm just this neutral being that just watches this stuff. No, it's more so that I get to move closer to it. I get to see it for what it is. The Buddhists call it seeing through the illusion of Maya, seeing things as what they are rather than what they appear to be. seeing the ultimate truth. And this is the beautiful thing about coming to the understanding of the I am. Many great spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle, Sufis, Rinpoches from the Buddhist areas, great yogis will talk about the I am. This is a conversation that's happened for thousands of years. But coming to this understanding that I am consciousness having a human experience, if I can start to see myself as consciousness having a human experience, then I then start to see that other selves are also consciousness having their human experience. That's how I then connect with others. That's how I have a greater compassion and greater love for others. Now, to step back even further, then I then start to see that all other selves are part of the one having its own experience. So the Creator, God, the universe, is experiencing love, anger, hatred, guilt through me. The universe, life, is experiencing whatever you are experiencing in this moment and throughout these days through you. And the universe, let's even just go to the universe, because for some people God might be a bit of a stretch. But the universe is experiencing itself through everything that is happening within the universe. But it gets to experience it. All of this stuff gets, in a sense, uploaded to the cloud, the unlocalized form of consciousness. So it then gets to have its experience. And ultimately, there is love that comes from this. Now, once again, this is a thought process. This is a thought process that has been discussed for many thousands of years. And now we have the science that sits around it. But if you could start to see yourself as the one that observes the thoughts, the one that observes the emotions, the one that observes the creating of beliefs, then you then start to see the beauty that you are, and the beauty that each experience holds, and the beauty that this life holds as well. And that each and every conversation that you have with another self is an opportunity for you to see a part of yourself. There's a really beautiful connective union that sits within that. And I think ultimately life is about creating relationships based upon union, based upon connectedness, especially that relationship with yourself. So, the I am, very, very powerful space. What do I do with that? So today, just start to notice your thoughts, notice your emotions, notice your urges, notice your behaviours, and start to see them from the perspective of, I am the universe noticing. I am the universe observing these thoughts, these emotions. You can then start to do some of the stuff that we've been doing. As I start to notice these, if there's any fear-based thinking, I know that this is part of the mind, because remember, you are not your mind, your mind's a part of you. That all fear-based thinking actually comes from a value-based. If I fear that I'm running late for something, then punctuality is a value. So now there's a cognitive component that I can then use. Remember, the pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So I'm noticing that I'm getting caught up in a virtual reality. So we've been doing the I am already, but you may have been seeing it from the perspective of, this is another part of my mind that is seeing this. And initially, this is what I introduced to you. Well, it's the responsive mind rather than the reactive mind. But ultimately, as I have experiences with people, things will arise for me, things will be revealed for me. And there is usually a healing nature in the stuff that gets revealed when we get triggered, in a sense. So notice that stuff and see, this is the I am. This is how the I am comes into it. Um, it's this observing part of it. I get to start to notice what's being revealed for me, not to me, for me. And then I then start to see where there's a discord of love, where my mind has identified as I am something. And this shouldn't be happening. This is the way it should be happening. This is what I expected. This is the way I planned it. That sort of stuff. So the I am allows us to work through the minds, or the mind's safety and survival programming. But the I am also can be a really beautiful place of solace and sanctuary, where we can detach with loving compassion to our thoughts and to our behaviours, to our emotions, and see ourselves for who we truly are. And that is this beautiful spark of creation that has infinite intelligence, is infinite within its own space, and it moves through life having experiences. And this lifetime is one of many lifetimes. That's another conversation. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. It's, like I said, really deep types of concepts here, but you are not your mind's a part of you. So what am I? I am consciousness having a human experience. That consciousness has an intelligence to it. Even if you don't necessarily believe in reincarnation, I can still use this I am, this consciousness that that resides from the perspective of observing this physical and this mental experience and this emotional experience, and use that part of you, well, use that which is you, to then see all of the different parts of you that you're having an experience with. And this lifetime is a beautiful experience because we get the five senses, you know, the touch, the taste. It's just beautiful. Then we have the cognitions of the mind. We have this body that walks through and engages with. So, yeah. I hope that has helped. I hope it's made sense, and it may have brought up some more questions rather than created answers. But it's a conversation that is worth contemplating to try to meet the I am. And it may take you many, many years for that to happen. It's not something that I can just speak and then, oh yeah, Maurice, I got that, no worries. It's something to consider. Okay? All right. Beautiful, beautiful people. Thank you, and I'll see you again next week.